Hey, Bonfire Premier Cup Series, this is your admin, Kevin Kyle, and I am proud to introduce to you your Season 12 primary sponsor, Animal House Customs. Get your favorite iRacing League logo or anything you can dream of on any hat or patch. Animal House Customs has a stitch for every itch. And in order to scratch that itch, visit animalhousecustoms.com or you can call Animal House Customs at 985-222-8065. Once again, that's 985-222-8065.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Around the Bonfire. A little different voice this time around. Kevin put me in charge of the microphone for this episode of Around the Bonfire at Sonoma. I'm here with my Canadian fueled power friend, Jason Landry. Jason, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Excited for this round. I finally want to get some revenge on you.
Well, it's a good place to do our next Crown Jewel event here at Sonoma. So why don't you pull her off pit road and take us for a couple laps here around this Californian road course.
Sounds good. All right, so it's a pretty tight track technical. I think there's been a couple track guides already, but we'll take it slowly through here. I'll go really slow for the first lap. So typically for this corner here, I like coming way over here. There's an off track in the dirt, but if you don't go too far, it's not too bad. So you can get away from that off track. I'll be usually second gear, kind of coming out of this one, going nice and wide, almost all the way to the curb. And then coming around here, I'd like to cut this corner. There's an off track, but if you just cut a little bit, it's usually not too bad. It opens up this corner quite nice. And I'll kind of late apex this entry here so that it opens up the next corner. And I'll just kind of come over this hill, not hitting this curb, but just kind of lightly touching the candy stripe there a little bit. Just to try to open it up as much as possible, because when you get over this crest, it kind of gets really light. So I'll try to get close to the curb, but not quite there. For the next one here, definitely this dirt patch, kind of right here is where you're starting to brake. I'll come down into second gear. Avoid hitting this inner curb here, but I do like taking it wide and going over this curb. There's no off track, so I'll take it a little wide here and come straight close to this wall. Coming up to this next one here, you can kind of see there's a difference in pavement. I don't know if I'm going to get an off track, but just about here where the cones are, I usually start braking, and I'll kind of brake lined up towards the crowd or to this white barrier here, just to open up the corner. And you really want a late apex on this one. I'm usually in second gear, kind of turning in really wide, coming over here and then aiming for this one, and I'll upshift early for this first, come up to third here, kind of sticking to this curb here, and then I'm opening up the next corner here. I'll jump over this curb, right over it, trying to open up the corner, shift up into fourth. You can definitely take a little bit of this curb, but I try to take not too much because I want to ramp off this one and kind of fall at the right spot. As you come out nice and wide. And then you can either keep it in fourth or you can upshift to fifth, try to get that torque management a little bit better. With this one here, I'll come right over this curb, almost into the dirt, to open up this corner as much as possible. And I'll really play with the brake pedal here to try to get the rear end to slip out a little bit, and then on the throttle, coming out of this one, because this is pretty much almost the only straightaway on the track, really. And you start braking right where this dip is. So if you want, you can brake a little bit before the dip.
It's probably safer.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit safer. I brake right where the dip is, and I tend to like to come into second gear, and I'll get right over this curb in. So I've got two tires over the curb in, but you really want to watch out for this blue tire right here. I've hit this one before and it completely destroys your car, so you want to kind of come close, but not too close where you're destroying the car.
Yeah.
I like second gear on that one, just because it puts the throttle down a little bit easier. First gear, it's a little bit quicker, but it's just a little dicier. So coming into this lap with a little bit more speed, you'll see here down to fourth, third, coming all the way out, second, clipping this curb here, all the way out here, up into third, cutting that corner. Just touching the curb a little bit and come over the crest on throttle. Looking at this dirt patch here, down to second gear. Just not touching that, coming right over the curb in. Third gear, down into second gear, opening up the corner as much as I can. Late apex, power, and then I'll upshift early to third here. Upshift early to fourth. Jumping this, then all the way closer to this side, opening up this corner. Upshift into fifth, I like it, but it's not necessary. Down to fourth. And then just before the dip if you want, but I like the dip. Down into second gear and coming it right over this here. And out the corner we go. Whoop.
So
Yeah, that was a lap a little bit more speed.
Yeah, so some similarities and some differences from the little track guide I quickly did. Lap times are definitely faster with the lack of fuel, but definitely there's some more options around this racetrack. So it's great to see the differences of two fast guys and seeing what other guys can pick apart from that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always different ways of doing the laps, so it's interesting to see how people are doing it. And yeah, with the fuel, how light the fuel is going to be, it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy is needed for this car.
Might trip a few of us up, especially with that action yellow is what I'm going to call it late in the race for the little shootout.
Yeah, and I think he said there's 2 tires available, but honestly, we probably won't need to change tires at all.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a common thing with these road courses, especially with this car, is not the lack of need to change out tires. These tires are really nice when they're warm, and you don't really wear them too much unless you're abusing them.
Yeah.
So Jason, we're going to go to our segment now, a part of the show where we start asking you some questions, letting some people get to know you a little bit better. So how long have you been sim racing for?
Ooh, long time. Since Gran Turismo 1, basically. It's like it was 1999. But as far as iRacing, I only started, I think it was right after the pandemic, like 2020, 2021-ish. I did sign up earlier than that, I think it was 2017, but my computer was really not good, so I only did like the 1 free month, and then I stopped.
So we saw you participated in a iRacing sanctioned GR86, I'll call it league tournament. I saw you finish, I think it was second at Indianapolis, I think, or I could be getting those wrong.
So I actually won Indianapolis.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was the second overall in the championship, which was definitely the best thing I've ever done on iRacing as far as competition-wise.
So what are some similarities and differences from the Toyota GR86 to this Cup car besides weight?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, they drive... I mean, they drive very different because you want... you don't have traction control or ABS with these cars. But the way I've got the master cylinders and the brake bias, it kind of drives similar as far as I can kind of turn the front the same way. It's just obviously a lot lower speeds, but you basically want to drive the GR86 off the front end. So you really want to get the tire feel for when it grips up, and then you can apply the power. And I find this one is maybe not so similar in that style, but the way the car kind of handles is similar. But you really want to use the power for this car to rotate it because there is no traction control. But yeah, I find they kind of drive. They're both pretty fun and lively cars. It's just that you manage this one with the power more versus the other one you manage under the braking, I guess, a little bit more.
Well, now I have to ask you, what do you think it'd be like to do a super speedway race with the GR86s?
Oh, that'd be hilarious. That'd be really fun to see.
All right, so my next question is what's one guy that you see in the rearview mirror and you're thinking, oh no?
Oh, that could be taken a couple different ways. I've had a few on-track battles with Kevin, which have been really fun, and I know he's going to race me as hard as he possibly can. So that's always kind of fun. I know Medina is extremely fast. I've been trying to work my way up to get close to his kind of skill level. I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm definitely pushing this season to try to like get up there. Who else? Nick Mills is always a little on the dangerous side. He tends to fight people really hard, and sometimes I don't quite like the way he does it, but to be fair to him, he also accepts you racing him the way he races everybody, so I respect that a lot. As long as you can dish and take it, that's fine with me. Jared, obviously you're very quick, so it's always a challenge with you around, especially at the beginning of a stint. But yeah, there's quite a few guys, but I'd say those guys specifically.
I think if this season were to have a title, it would be beat David Medina. I think that's everyone's goal for this season, especially with the numbers that we have now. Last season, it was a little bit low in numbers, so it was kind of a given that Medina would win a lot of races, but I think this season, I think there's a lot of guys aiming to beat that 9 car.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely upped his game. I know when I first joined, I was getting a few wins, I think the second season when I won the championship. But since then, you can see he's put a lot of practice in, and I can't really touch him anymore. So basically, I'm just hoping for a better strategy here and there. And I'm trying to get on his terms, but it's pretty hard.
I guess my next question is who are some guys that you see in the rearview mirror that you kind of breathe a sigh of relief, just kind of like a friendly face that you see in the rearview mirror?
Well, you're a friendly face, but I wouldn't have a breath of relief when I see you because I know you're coming fast. Who would be a friendly face that I... David Buell. David Buell is fast, but I know he's going to race me very cleanly. Actually, there's quite a few guys. Owens is really clean. He's always fast, but he races me very cleanly as well. Yeah, I think off the top of my head, those two come out pretty quickly.
Well, now I gotta try and think of some more questions because those were the two that I had off the top of my head. So who does your paint schemes, Jason? We always see you with these geometrical style paint schemes. Who does your paint schemes for you?
Well, honestly, I've been trying to learn that myself. David Owens has helped me figure out how to use Trade and Paints Pro a little bit. And then Jameson Miller was doing them for me when we were Team Heatwave. Mm-hmm. But I always found it annoying to ask for like little revisions here and there. So I was like, all right, time to learn it myself. So the last 2 or 3 paint schemes have all been me.
All right, that's awesome. Just trying to shout out a couple painters out there. Some good looking paint schemes here in the Bonfire League. So, here's a good one. So I think Kevin's trying to make a Crown Jewel event be a road course just to try and get more people in. If you had to pick a road course for this car, what road course would it be? And it doesn't have to be specifically to NASCAR.
I would take Mosport or Canadian Tire or the Grand Prix, Montreal Grand Prix, just because it's 2 Canadian tracks.
That's awesome. I know trucks used to go up there to Canadian Tire back in the day, and I remember driving the F4s at Canadian Tire with you, and that downhill section to the little hairpin always caught me a little off guard.
Yeah, it's tricky. Moss Corner is really, really tricky. I would imagine it would be quite difficult with these cars. But yeah, the Canadian version NASCAR goes there all the time, and the curbs at the Montreal F1 track would be very interesting with this car too.
What's one little piece of advice that you would give to some of the guys here that don't succeed that much on the road courses? I won't say crash out, but they're just a little lack in speed. What are some tips that you'd give them to try and make their life a little bit easier when they have to turn right?
Brake earlier. So I find a lot of people on racing try to brake later because they think that's where the time is. But honestly, braking earlier and managing your tires will make you much faster and much more consistent overall. And just as an example, I know for if you do endurance races, a good tactic is the fuel saving. So if you lift and coast before you get on the brakes, a lot of times people discover they have more speed that way and they're kind of confused. And that's just a prime example of that they're usually braking too late. So yeah, just braking a little earlier and a little less hard is typically a very safe way to gain lap time or to discover that you're braking too late, too hard anyway.
Well, that's all the questions I think I have for you, Jason. So thank you for giving your time on this little track guide and getting to know you a little bit more. We'll definitely see you head-to-head against me in the coming weeks when we go to Sonoma, where I'm going to try and pull the hat trick.
Yeah. Well, here, I'm practicing donuts for when I can beat you.
Well, I'm not going to say that it's going to be needed practice because you'll never get the show for it.
Yeah.
But make sure you guys check out Sonoma next week on the Bonfire Racing Network, and make sure you check out this weekend at Auto Club. It's going to be some good racing, a big oval race, and then a road course with a twist at the end of it. So it's definitely going to be a show.